The Zekthari pain chambers were legendary throughout the galaxy. For 3 millennia, no species had emerged from those crystalline torture cells without revealing every secret, every hidden alliance, every buried treasure location their captors desired. The methodology was precise, clinical, and utterly effective, a perfect synthesis of physical agony and psychological manipulation that had broken the will of countless civilizations. Commander Tekvar watched through the observation portal as the human female was secured to the neural interface chair. Dr. Sarah Chen, according to her identification, a xenobiologist from the research vessel Endeavor. She had been captured along with her entire crew during what the humans laughably called a diplomatic mission to the contested Rigel sector. "Begin the preliminary scans," Tekvar commanded his subordinate. "I want a complete psychological profile before we commence the interrogation." The Zekthari prided themselves on understanding their subjects completely before applying pressure. Fear, pain, and despair were tools to be wielded with surgical precision. The scans revealed the expected human physiological responses: elevated heart rate, stress hormone production, neural activity patterns consistent with anxiety and fear. But there was something else, an undercurrent of calculation. "Fascinating," Dr. Chen said suddenly, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's audio system. "The neural interface technology is remarkably sophisticated. Quantum entangled pain receptors, if I'm reading these energy signatures correctly. May I ask who designed the original architecture?" Tekvar's mandibles clicked in confusion. Prisoners typically screamed, begged, or maintained stoic silence during the preparation phase. They did not inquire about technical specifications. "Activate the primary pain matrix," he ordered. "Level 3 intensity." The human's body convulsed as artificial agony flooded her nervous system. Her screams echoed through the chamber for several seconds before subsiding into controlled breathing. When she spoke again, her voice was strained but eerily calm. "That's actually quite impressive. The pain distribution algorithm must account for individual neural pathway variations. I'm estimating a 94% efficiency rate in sensory override, though I notice some interesting gaps in the coverage pattern around the posterior parietal cortex. Is that intentional or a limitation of the technology?" The torture technician looked to Tekvar with obvious bewilderment. In 3 centuries of operating the pain chambers, he had never encountered a subject who analyzed their own torture in real time. "Increase to level 7, Tekvar growled. "Full psychological pressure protocol." The chamber filled with holographic projections, images of Chen's crewmates in apparent agony, false recordings of her family members pleading for her cooperation, fabricated scenarios of Earth under bombardment. The pain matrix intensified until most sapient beings would be rendered unconscious. Dr. Chen screamed again, tears streaming down her face. But when the initial wave subsided, she began to laugh. Not the broken laughter of madness, but something that sounded almost appreciative. "Oh, that's clever." The neurochemical manipulation combined with false visual stimuli creates a feedback loop that amplifies emotional distress by roughly 340%. But you're using outdated human psychological models. Our current stress response has evolved significantly since the Titan colony crisis. We've actually developed quite sophisticated mental compartmentalization techniques. She paused, apparently considering something. "Though I have to say, your technology could be remarkably beneficial for medical applications. Have you considered the therapeutic potential for chronic pain management? With some modifications to the quantum matrices, you could create targeted relief systems that would revolutionize healthcare for dozens of species." "This is impossible," the technician whispered. The pain levels should have rendered her catatonic. "Perhaps," Chen continued conversationally, "we could discuss a technology sharing agreement. Humans have made significant advances in biomedical engineering. I think there's tremendous potential for mutually beneficial cooperation here." Tekvar stared in growing horror as the human, still strapped to a device that was flooding her system with agony, began outlining the framework for a trade agreement. She discussed patents, licensing fees, and joint research initiatives with the same casual professionalism she might use during a university faculty meeting. The real breakthrough, she explained as another wave of artificial pain coursed through her body, would be combining your quantum pain matrices with our neuroplasticity enhancement techniques. Imagine being able to teach pain management to trauma victims or help individuals with chronic conditions develop better coping mechanisms. Stop, Tekvar commanded. Stop the procedure. Wait, Commander, Chen called out as the technician reached for the controls. I haven't finished explaining the economic benefits yet. Based on preliminary market analysis, a human Zekthari medical technology partnership could generate roughly 2.7 billion standard credits annually within the first decade. That's accounting for research and development costs, of course. The pain matrix powered down, leaving Chen sagging slightly in her restraints, but still alert and apparently eager to continue negotiations. You see, she said, looking directly at Tekvar through the observation portal, humans have this peculiar trait. When we encounter something that hurts us, our first instinct isn't necessarily to flee or break. Sometimes we try to understand it. And once we understand it, we start thinking about how to make it better. Tekvar's worldview crumbled as he watched this impossible human continue to speak. Your pain chambers are impressive, but they're based on the assumption that suffering is purely destructive. Humans learned long ago that suffering can be transformative, educational, even beneficial when properly channeled. We've been using controlled stress and discomfort to improve ourselves for millennia. Release her, Tekvar ordered quietly. Commander? The technician's voice cracked with disbelief. Release her and prepare quarters for the human delegation. It seems... Tekvar paused, struggling to process what he had witnessed. It seems we have much to discuss. As the restraints disengaged, Dr. Chen stretched carefully and smiled. Excellent. I think this is the beginning of a very productive relationship. Now about those medical applications, I have some ideas that might interest you. The Zekthari had conquered half the galaxy through superior torture techniques, but they had never encountered a species that could turn their greatest weapon into the opening gambit of a trade negotiation. For the first time in their civilization's history, they found themselves wondering if perhaps there were better ways to achieve their goals than breaking their enemies. They had tried to break the human spirit. Instead, the human had started, breaking down their assumptions about power, pain, and the very nature of conquest itself. Perhaps, Tekvar mused as he watched Dr. Chen sketch preliminary blueprints on the chamber wall, these humans might teach them something far more valuable than subjugation. They might teach them cooperation,